Return to Eden. God's Design for Human Sexuality in the Song of Songs by Richard M. Davidson. Richard M. Davidson, Ph.D., is Senior Research Professor of Old Testament Interpretation, Seventh-day Adventist Theological Seminary, Andrews University, Berrien Springs, Michigan, United States. Genesis 1 and 2 set forth God's original design for human sexuality, and its profound portrayal of sexual love and marriage between Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden is paradigmatic for the rest of the biblical treatment of the subject. Later in Scripture, we find another couple in a beautiful garden, standing before each other naked without shame, equal without duplication, surrounded by exotic spices and fruits pleasing to the senses, animals sporting in their presence, and living waters replenishing their garden. As told in the Song of Solomon, it is a love story of paradise lost becoming paradise gained. According to its superscription, the inspired song is the, quote, Song of Songs, which is Solomon's, end quote. That is, the best or most sublime of the 1005 songs 1 Kings 4 verse 32 notes that Solomon composed. This entire book of the Bible extols the joy and beauty of human sexuality within the context of courtship and marriage. It actually constitutes a quote-unquote return to Eden, an inspired commentary on the first two chapters of Genesis, showing that humanity can still experience God's original plan for intimacy in a broken world. This article will explore the riches of God's plan for sexuality, exemplified in the experience of the lovers in the Song of Songs. The biblical understanding of sexuality in the Song of Songs may be organized under 10 major headings. Number 1. Creation order. In the Song of Songs, we come full circle back to the creation in the Garden of Eden. It assumes sexual love to be a creation ordinance, a, quote, flame of Yahweh himself, end quote. In lofty lyrics, the lovers in the Song of Songs extol and enhance the creation of sexuality recorded in the first two chapters, Genesis, as the book strongly upholds the creation order of two biological genders, male and female. The author of Song of Solomon has structured the whole book around the alteration of male and female lyrics. Number 2. Marriage is for heterosexual couples. According to the divine pattern established with the first couple in the garden, the sexual relationship is to be between, quote, a husband and his wife, end quote. Literally, quote, a man and his woman, end quote. Such terminology indicates a heterosexual marriage relationship as the Edenic paradigm. The Song of Songs upholds such a heterosexual norm by describing the love relationship between King Solomon and the Shulamite woman. Number 3. Marriage is a monogamous relationship. In Genesis chapter 2 verse 24, the pairing of the noun quote-unquote man or husband with the noun quote-unquote woman or wife, with both terms in the singular and not plural, clearly implies that the marital relationship is to be monogamous, shared exclusively between two marriage partners and no more. The Song of Songs strongly supports a love relationship involving only two people, Solomon and the Shulamite. The evidence also indicates that Solomon was monogamous for at least the first 20 years of his reign, and wrote the song during this period. Number 4. Equality and mutuality. In parallel with Genesis chapter 1 and 2, the book presents the lovers as equal, mutual partners, like Adam and Eve in Eden before the fall. The keynote of the equal relationship appears in Song of Solomon chapter 2 verse 16. Quote, "My beloved is mine, and I am his." End quote. Song of Solomon chapter 7 verse 10 actually depicts a reversal of the quote-unquote curse of Genesis chapter 3 verse 16. Instead of the woman's quote-unquote desire being for her husband, the Shulamite sings that her lover's quote-unquote desire is for her. Here is a reaffirmation of the full equality, quote-unquote one fleshness, between husband and wife set forth in Genesis chapter 2 verse 24. The song reveals that after the fall, it is still possible for a man and woman to experience that mutual, reciprocal love designed by God in Genesis chapter 2 verse 24. Number 5. Wholeness. In harmony with the holistic anthropology of Genesis chapter 2 verse 7, in which a human being does not have a soul but is a soul, the song is a critique of any dualism between body and soul. The Bible does not distinguish between an quote-unquote inner self or soul, which may have a gender identity separate from the person's biological sex, as transgender theory may assume. Humans are a psychosomatic inseparable unity. Sexuality is not just the sex act. It involves the whole human being, physical, sensual, emotional, and spiritual. In the song, every human pleasure combines physical, emotional, and spiritual aspects, stimulating each of them equally. One of the key themes in the song, the presence or absence of the lovers to each other, highlights the concept of wholeness in sexuality. Quote, "Absence makes the heart grow fonder." End quote. The absence motif serves to heighten the meaning of presence. Lovers need each other to be whole. Genesis chapter 2 verse 24 sets forth specifics of the divine plan for marital relationships, providing a concise theory of marriage. Quote, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother, and cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." End quote. By using the term therefore, referring to what precedes, the verse indicates that the marriage of Adam and Eve provides the divine model for all succeeding ones. The verse emphasizes 3 essential characteristics of the marital relationship: exclusiveness, permanence, and intimacy. We find them also displayed in the Song of Songs, and they will be discussed in turn in the next 3 points. Number 6. Exclusiveness. According to Genesis chapter 2 verse 24, the man is to leave his father and mother. At the time when Genesis was written, the ancient world assumed that the woman would leave her parents' house when she married. But Moses announces what was revolutionary for his day. In God's plan, the man also must leave. Both are to leave their parents' households. The quote-unquote leaving of Genesis chapter 2 verse 24 indicates the necessity of exclusiveness, freedom from outside interferences that would encroach upon the independence of the relationship, including the sexual relationship. In the Song of Songs, the Shulamite expresses the exclusiveness of the relationship in the threefold refrain. Quote, "My beloved is mine, and I am his," end quote. While Solomon likewise emphasizes exclusivity regarding his wife. Quote, "My dove is the one and only," end quote. Number 7. Permanence. As in the Genesis model, in which man and woman are to quote-unquote cleave to each other in a marriage covenant, so the Song of Songs climaxes in the wedding ceremony. The symmetrical literary structure of the unified song reveals an intricate design focused upon the central section, which describes the wedding of Solomon and his bride. The Shulamite's words of inspired wisdom emphasize God's design for permanence in the married love relationship. Quote, "Love is as strong as death. Many waters cannot quench love." End quote. Number 8. Intimacy. As in Genesis chapter 2 verse 24, where the quote-unquote one flesh sexual union follows the quote-unquote cleaving, so in the Song of Songs, sexual intercourse occurs only within the context of the marriage covenant. The groom testifies regarding his bride at the time of the wedding that she is a quote-unquote garden locked, that is, a virgin. The Song of Songs contains a series of reflections encompassing the historical scope of the intimate relationship between Solomon and the Shulamite. From the courtship period to the betrothal, reaching its climax in the wedding and the consummation of the marriage, and extending beyond with a depiction of ever-deepening intimacy in married life together. The song depicts at least 12 kinds of intimacy: physical, work, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, crisis, conflict, aesthetic, commitment, creative, recreational, and communication. The Shulamite makes clear in her threefold caution to unmarried female companions the need for guarding one's affections and saving sexual intercourse until after marriage. Quote, "Do not stir up or awaken love until it is time." End quote. Number 9. Sexuality and procreation. As in the creation account of Genesis chapter 2, so in the Song of Songs, the sexual experience within marriage is not linked with the utilitarian intent to procreate children. Its message is one of lovemaking for the sake of love, and not for procreation. That is not to imply that Canticles is hostile to the proactive aspect of sexuality. The lovers allude to the beauty of their own conception and birth. But the song endows sexual union with value on its own, without any need to justify it as a means to some superior procreative end. Number 10. Wholesome beauty and joy. Both the Song of Songs and Genesis chapter 1 verse 31 portray sexuality, along with the rest of God's creation, as, quote, very good, end quote, wholesome, beautiful, and good, end quote, to be celebrated and enjoyed without fear or embarrassment. As in Genesis chapter 2 verse 25, lovers in the song stand, quote, naked and not ashamed before each other, end quote. In Solomon's Song of Songs, we return to Eden. Lovers, even after the fall, may still bask in the beauty of paradise. Set against a backdrop of a garden where all is sensuously beautiful, the lovers in the song celebrate the beauty of married sexual love. In language that is sensual and yet in delicate taste, the lovers extol each other's beauty. By means of poetic metaphors, double entendres that both reveal and conceal, the book describes the ecstatic pleasure of sexual intercourse. The very apex of the book, the exact center, consists of an invitation and its acceptance to become quote-unquote one flesh through sexual union. And God himself pronounces his blessing upon this union in Song of Solomon's chapter 5, verse 1. Quote, "Eat, O friends, drink. Yes, drink deeply, O beloved ones." End quote. Love as the, quote, flame of Yahweh, end quote. Here we have a whole book celebrating the wholesome beauty and enjoyment of human sexual love. Sexuality in the song is part of God's good creation, and since God created it as a, quote, flame of Yahweh himself, end quote, it speaks eloquently, perhaps most eloquently of all, of his love for creation as it is enjoyed in harmony with the divine intention. The book's affirmation of human sexual love is, therefore, an implicit affirmation of the Creator of love. In the Song of Songs, we have come to the supreme Old Testament statement on sexuality, even to, as Rabbi Abika put it, quote, "the Holy of Holies," end quote. Quote, "For in all the world there is nothing equal to the day on which the Song of Songs was given to Israel. For all the writings are holy, but the Song of Songs is the Holy of Holies." End quote. The song portrays paradisal married love as stunningly beautiful, wonderfully sensuous, an exuberant celebration, a thrilling adventure, an exquisite delight, full of pure sexual desire, unashamed and uninhibited, restrained and in good taste, light-hearted play, a romantic love affair, powerfully passionate, and an awe-inspiring mystery. God's Edenic plan for sexuality between man and wife is indeed beautiful, joyous, and awesome. Even though we are now in a fallen world, God invites men and women to experience his beautiful plan, as implied in the quote-unquote therefore of Genesis chapter 2 verse 24, and as modeled in the Song of Solomon, which depicts the holy beauty of sexual love as coming back to Eden. God promises the gift of his flame of love, which will burn ever brighter in the hearts and homes of human lovers, so that they may experience ever more fully the glorious divine plan for sexuality, a return to Eden, ablaze with the flame of Yahweh. For bibliographical and biblical references on this article, and for much more content for pastors and church leaders, please visit ministrymagazine.org.